women have been recommended that they use whistles and pens, that they faint, fake faint, urinate, puke on people. The most idiotic things that have been said by these arrogant, ignorant politicians out there.
Well, I think that the entire conversation is wrong. I don't want anybody to be telling women anything. I don't want men to be telling me what to wear, how to act, not to drink. And I don't honestly want you to tell me that I needed a gun in order to prevent my rape. And in my case, don't tell me if I had only had a gun, I wouldn't have been raped, because that's still putting it on me to prevent
You have written
rape.
about this.
I have, yes.
That this happened to you.
Yes, and I was attacked by someone I knew. So you're required, what you're saying works out in reality, not in a theoretical scenario. You're requiring that I shoot someone that I know.
No, I'm not.
That is not the reality. Two-thirds of women are attacked by someone they know.
Nobody is requiring that you do it. I have carried a weapon my entire adult life, and I've had license to carry in the five recent states that I've lived in. And I am trained. I'm a marksman in the use of a pistol. I have been since I'm 11 years old. I've been a good shot. Only if women choose to. They ought to have the right. That ought to be their choice.
I don't think that we should be telling women anything. I think we should be telling men not to rape women and start the conversation there.
Well, criminals are not going to listen to that.
No, but
so I agree with you.
We're not. I mean, yes, men are committing a crime, but many of the men that commit rape are people that you know. But
no man should do that to anybody.
You're talking about it as if there's some faceless, nameless criminal, when a lot of times it's someone that you know and trust.
Well, I'm saying that women need to know that these situations arise, and we've got to. Evil exists in the world.
Yes, evil exists. We can prevent rape by telling men not to commit it.
They're not going to. Criminals will not listen.
No, we're not talking about criminals.
We're
talking about a cultural.
I want women to be able to protect themselves, don't you?
I want women to be able to protect themselves, yes, but I want women to not be in this situation. And
I agree
but they're
going
to be in that situation. No, that's not true. If you train men not to grow up to become rapists, you prevent rape.
You think you can stop? You think you can tell a rapist to stop doing what he's doing?
Yes.
You really? And he's going to listen to an ad campaign
There are
to stop?
organizations that do this. Men can stop rape. Men stopping violence. They train young men to not rape.
In response to her remarks, Maxwell received a torrent of racially fueled abuse on social media, with people saying she deserved to be gang raped and killed. One person wrote, quote, "I hope you get raped and your throat slit. Maybe then you understand why white men have to be armed." Well, on Monday, she responded to the comments on MSNBC saying, quote, "I'm certainly taking steps to protect my emotional health, but I will not be quiet because I refuse to be bullied into silence." What is Fox saying to you about the kind of comments you've gotten afterwards?
Well, you know, I've gotten a lot of support from them. And in the end, I actually don't put it on Fox's shoulders as to why I got the reaction that I did. The segment was covered in conservative media, so it was when it went up on the conservative websites when I started getting a lot of the hateful comments.
Well, you've been a frequent guest on Fox News in the past. Have you ever gotten a kind of reaction like you've gotten on this particular issue?
Well, this is my first time ever talking about this particular issue, but I have done segments about guns because that's, you know, a hot topic right now, and I've never ever received any of the feedback like the ones, the violent feedback that I got this week. Normally, it's just I disagree, you're stupid, that's fine. You know, I can deal with that. You just, you know, ignore that type of comment, but when it goes to violence and, you know, people being very, very cruel, especially since I outed myself as a rape survivor in this segment, which actually wasn't the clip that was on conservative media sites. They took that part out. But I think that, you know, when I'm putting myself out there and I'm being vulnerable because I think the message and the issue is important, you know, and you respond with violence, I think in many ways you're proving my point that there is a cultural problem that we need to address.
Zerlina, you wrote a piece this week, 5 ways we can teach men not to rape. Talk about those ways.
Yes. We need to teach people what consent is. And, you know, this week we're seeing in Ohio the Steubenville rape trial with 2 high school football players. And the defense attorney is basically arguing that she was too drunk in order to say no. And so that means she's implying that she consented to everything that happened once she began drinking that night. And, you know, number one on the list is we need to teach young men about consent, because I think it's not that people don't know that rape is wrong. I think we all can agree that, you know, people know that it's wrong, but I think a lot of people don't know what rape is. And so there are times when young men will be in a situation where they do something that they think is ambiguous, but legally it's classified as rape. And you know, it all comes down to consent and knowing what that is.
One of the things you talk about, you raised on Fox, and you talk about in your piece on the Steubenville case, which is headlined, "Why Acquaintance Rape is Not a Myth," is that most women are raped by people they know.
Right, and this is one of the reasons why the gun conversation is completely ridiculous on its face in terms of prevention of rape, because most women are going to be in a situation where they know the person, right? So you're not going to be out on a date or in your apartment with an acquaintance and have a gun out. That's just not, I mean, if you're, particularly because most guns, if you're doing it the appropriate way, you're going to lock it up and make sure that it's not stolen or used by a child. And so you're not going to have your gun on hand anytime something like this comes up. And I think the problem is that too many women, 80% of women are raped by someone they know. And so you're not going to have the gun out. And I think the most important thing is that people understand that rape happens in this way and not in the jump out of the bushes stranger rape type of way the majority of times. That of course happens, but the majority of rapes are this other way, this acquaintance date rape type of way. And we have to we have to acknowledge that this is a real thing. This is not something that we can pretend doesn't exist.